why wanting to just have fun is taking the fun out of dancing and how you can actually improve, progress faster while still having fun learning choreos and dancing as a hobby. Hello, I am Lucia and I break down dance moves to help you progress faster and actually get more out of your hobby or a profession if it's your profession. This is for beginners, but also for intermediate dancers who want to level up and feel like they're stuck. Beginners are those who usually make the biggest leap. They improve quickly, and later the progress seems to be more gradual and slow, but the process is actually the same. With beginners, there's more of a learning curve, but even if you're an experienced dancer, you may feel like you hit the plateau and want to improve, so you will be a beginner in a new skill that you want to learn. The aim of this video is for you to avoid wasting time, money, and energy like many of us do and did. And hopefully with my knowledge, my experience, I can play a small role in it and help you get more out of your classes, out of your training, out of your money, time. And just to be clear, we are talking about how to become technically good dancer. It's an art, it's a creation process. It cannot fit always into some box, so I am not talking about dance as a creative expression, although that's something that can be practiced as well. I am talking about more technical aspects. So what actually goes on in becoming technically good dancer? Most of us, to be honest, that come to this point where we are working as dancers, as teachers professionally, especially if we're talking about street styles, club styles, social dances. I dance dancehall, but it can be dancehall, hip hop, house, whacking, voguing, then salsa, bachata, and so on. I cannot speak about other styles, so I'm generalizing a bit, but there are styles that are a bit different, like ballet or the competitive Latin dances. They have a more serious approach. What actually goes on in becoming a good dancer, especially if you're just starting, if you're an adult, and if you don't have that much time. Most people will just start learning moves and routines without understanding properly what they're doing and without having a clear plan. And what I want to do is show you how you can actually control the outcome and how you can become better at understanding what you need, finding better teachers, better classes, better options for you. To be honest, many teachers are actually good, but the issue is that they just don't have the option to teach you and give you as much as they would. And a lot of times today, the classes are set up in a way where mostly students look for fun, which means learning fun choreographies and routines, where I think if you use my approach, you are going to have to work a bit more, but it's going to pay off in the long term and you will have more fun, because once you know what you're doing, once you put in a bit of work, even if you're doing it just as a hobby, you are going to enjoy it more. But we'll get there. Let's go through the process of learning how to dance technically. We are gonna ignore for a bit the feeling, expression, and all of that. And then in how to practice what you learn, how to retain what you learn, how to improve, and how to actually know what you want and need to do. So we start with isolated body movements. It can be shoulder isolations, chest, arms, hips, footwork. So you want to be able to isolate your shoulders from the rest of your body and do different types of movements with only your shoulders. Up, down, left, right, and so on. And this goes for your chest, for your arms, for feet, for hips, and so on. After you practice that, so after you are doing well in some dance drill, some isolation, then step 2 is isolation combos. So this is moving 2 body parts at the same time. So 2 isolations at the same time. For example, your hips and your hands. Your hips are doing circles and your hands are, one hand is going up, the other one is going down. Now you can see that the light is changing because my phone doesn't have storage. I'm fixing it as I go. All right, the next step after you combine two body parts, two bodies isolations, is a dance move, a movement pattern. It combines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I don't know how many different isolations. And that's when you see somebody and you feel like, oh, I could never do that. I could never be this coordinated. Yes, you could. They all practiced each body part separately first before combining them. It is very simple. It is not easy and quick to get to that point for most people. It takes time, but it's very simple. After you learn a dance move or a movement pattern, the next step is learning routines. So putting it all together and practicing. Most of us will not dance just one move and that's it. We are gonna dance for a longer period of time. So it's gonna be a routine, a choreography, or on the other hand, you can freestyle. It's a bit different training process, but you don't really have to learn routines or choreographies. It's enough that you have the ability to execute the movement, and then you can just improvise and freestyle. But for the sake of simplicity, we're going to be talking about routines and choreographies. So let's recap. We have isolations, isolation combos, we have moves or movement patterns, and then we have routines and choreographies. On top of all of that, there are many other things you can practice, of course. For example, musicality and movement quality, explosiveness, stamina, strength, flexibility, expression, etc. So that's just another part of dance that I'm not going to be covering in depth. So what happens in classes a lot of time is you will mostly learn routines and choreographies. There is warm-up. There are a lot of times some technical exercises as well, but mostly the focus of the class is on fun. And fun is learning routines and choreographies, apparently. Because at the end of the day, you did not come to a dance class to not dance, right? Because if you just do the isolation for the whole class, it's not really dancing. It's just not fun. It is what it is. And the reason that it doesn't happen that much in recreational classes for adults is because it's repetitive and you need to do a lot of repetitions and you need to practice these drills a lot before it becomes fun. That's the first reason. The second reason is because a lot of times you can get away with learning the routine and choreography without actually doing the foundations first, but you are just not going to be as good because you will not know what you're doing exactly. This is what happens, for example, in ballet schools. You don't go and do the whole choreography. You start with finger placement, you start with arm positions, and you practice that. And then you add legs, really simple leg movements, and they are practiced over and over again till perfection. We don't all want to do that. We don't want to be that serious. But that's what it takes in every dance style. So how do you practice the isolations, isolation combos, or moves? A million times. My students think I'm joking when I say in a class, let's do this 100 more times. We should actually do it at least 100 times. Now, there are so many possibilities of what you can do when it comes to isolations and drills. It is impossible to practice them all, especially as an adult with limited time. But whichever one you choose to do, isolation combo or move, you want to get it to an extreme. You want to practice it as consistently as possible. You want to get as much feedback on it as possible. You want to take it to the extremes. You don't have to know every movement pattern, but the ones you do know, you want to be able to execute it the best way possible. Yeah, so that's what happens in classes. The first parts, the foundational parts, are often skipped, and it's not the fault of the teacher often. It's just the structure, the demand. If you have dance training once or twice per week, a dance class, it's just better to do easy routines and choreographies and have fun than to practice technique, because a lot of times it's just very repetitive, it is not fun, and 2 times per week is still not enough. But I think there's a way to do both things. All right, let's move on. How do we practice? Now, we practice with repetition, right? You take one isolation, one little technical drill. It can be anything. It can be, for example, chest pop, chest isolation, hip circle, passe, or something that you do in a heels class. You take that, you practice it. You do it as often as you can, as much as you can. Then you get feedback. You get feedback from yourself because you watched yourself in the mirror, you watch a video, or you ask your teacher or a friend to give you feedback. And then you have to implement that feedback. That's something that nobody can do for you. You have to do it. And then with that new knowledge, you are going to keep repeating the movement, but you're going to be doing it better. So you don't just repeat, you iterate. And with every feedback, you try to do it a bit better. Practice, feedback, iteration, more practice. And then once you did all of that, you can add another layer that could be musicality or movement quality, for example. So with the one isolation combo, you can do a lot of things before you even move to the proper dance moves. And the reason why that works is once you get to the dance moves, you will not wonder what's wrong when something is wrong. You will actually, by yourself, be able to pinpoint what's not working, what's not clicking, and you will be able to improve that move. Once you understand your body, because you practiced isolated body movements enough to see what's up. I don't do every isolation under the sun perfectly, and I never will probably, but if I do a move and it looks stiff or I feel like I'm not getting it, it's a lot easier for me to see, okay, this part of the body needs to move that way, so I need to practice that. And then that's why it's also easier for me to spot in my students what they can work on. My goal as a teacher is to give you feedback, but if you understand your body, it's just going to be a lot easier for you to implement that feedback. Let's say you exhausted all options in your isolation and you want to do something more. At some point, there will be only so much that you can physically do, but you will still need to push. Now, you can add another layer of movement. Let's say we do waistline isolation, so a whine. So what can you do once you did enough practice? You can do it faster. You can do it in a different position. You can do it in a different direction. That's just a couple of ideas. There's so much more there, but you get what I mean. So once you do the isolation and push it to its limits, then you start switching up and changing it. Now, at this point, when we introduce a bit of a change to a familiar movement, it can actually be frustrating for experienced dancers because you think you should be able to get it quickly and you don't, and you feel like a fool. Let's say you did something on one side only, some isolation, and then you do it on the other side. And it's really hard. A lot of people end up being really frustrated at that moment because they think they should be better. My advice is just don't be harsh on yourself, but also don't expect that just because you got to this point, you are granted a quick pass to that point. You have to be a beginner again. So when somebody asks me, when does it get easier? It doesn't get easier. And that's the beauty of it. That's why we should not rush, and we should learn, how to practice, and how to train so that you can enjoy the process. There is no end point in dance, but there can be an end point in learning a technical drill where you practice it until you feel super confident in learning a move, in learning a routine. There should be endpoints, but when it comes to dance in general, even if it's just one dance style, I don't think there's ever a finish line. I don't think you ever get to a point where you're like, oh, I know everything. And let's not get into learning more dance styles. There's always something to learn. It doesn't get easier because you will keep challenging yourself. Now, that's a good challenge, okay? You want to feel those challenges, but you don't want to feel frustrated and challenged and you don't know anything because you were skipping steps. Honestly, that's just frustration and it's not useful. Sometimes, many times you will feel in life and when you're learning something that it's just a lot of mess and you don't even know where to start. That's fine. But when it comes to dance, I'm here to tell you that it should not feel frustrating and confusing all the time. You should be able to know where you are in the process and you should know what outcome to expect. You should be able to predict it, etc. When it comes to the question of how challenging should a class be, I would say 80 to 90% of your current abilities, you should be able to complete some kind of task, master a little something in one training session. If you feel completely out of place and completely confused, in the long run, it's not good. It should be challenging but doable. You should always have a little something to work on in the next training session, but you need to at least partially master something. If you are coming back to train this thing again, I know there's this thing of you can learn something from anyone in any class, and that's true, but we have limited time. You want to get as much as possible, and none of it will matter if you're not consistent anyway. So we are here in steps 1, 2, 3, isolations, isolation combos, movement patterns. There are actually different ways you can use this knowledge: to go to a dance class and learn choreographies and routines, to freestyle or improvise, or to enjoy a class that is more like a workout class, more like Zumba, where I wish these classes were actually more focused on technique, but I understand why they're not. But if you have more technique, you can actually enjoy these classes more, and I think these are great. These are really fun. Let's look at each of these 3 options where you can use your dance and see how training properly will help you enjoy them more. You can definitely just go straight to choreo class and just do your best and keep repeating choreo classes again and again, but you will be limited in your progress. You will be limited with your technique, with your current abilities, and even if it's the most beginner class, I don't think it's going to be enough because dance is more complex than that. How beginner can the choreo get? It can't be that beginner. You may pick up the choreo, but you will feel that it doesn't look as good as the teacher does it or as good as it should. And a lot of times you may struggle to connect the movements. By only taking choreo classes, you can improve, especially if you're practicing them a lot after class. So don't get me wrong, but if you understand the foundations, you will be able to also practice choreos better because you will know your body. By going back to the basics and going through every step in the process, you will be able to control your progress and literally know what you should be working on. I am sorry if I'm sometimes looking at the camera and sometimes at myself because I forget that I need to look at the camera. Let's look at the alternative. It's fitness, cardio, or Zumba class, something in that sense. Here, you are limited by your dance level. Now, these are usually more beginner, but if you actually have the understanding of your body, you will be able to get the full fitness part of it. You will be able to get the full benefits more than the person who does not understand their body. And you can have fun, but your progress will definitely be limited in these classes. You will not engage the muscles the way they could be engaged. You will just miss out on a lot of benefits. And I think after some time, you could plateau. But maybe if it's your thing, it's fine. The main thing is there is no deliberate effort to progress. If it's fun for you, that's fine. And then we have the last one, freestyle improvisation. It's just doing whatever the hell you want. You can do that without any dance knowledge, without any dance training. Dancing is completely free and it's natural. It's what all of us do. But learning how your body works again, so not learning the moves even, you don't even have to know a certain dance style, but learning about your body, about isolations and combining these different isolations will make the process of just moving so much more fulfilling. You will be able to literally, with your body, create your own moves. I think improvisation, for a lot of people, it's scary. It's one of the best things about knowing your body and knowing how to dance. I want to tell you about something. I was at an event a few months ago, and this guy came up to me. It was a younger guy. This was the first time that somebody actually approached me in that way. A lot of times people come to me and tell me, oh, you're amazing. I wish I could dance like you. That was awesome. Compliment me in many different ways. But he came and he asked me, how does it feel to be able to move like that? And I think that was really interesting question that I'm going to try and answer right now. It feels like meditation, it feels like play, it feels like release, it feels like conversation, it feels like expression. It's an out-of-body experience, yet you are so present and grounded. And I think that's the main benefit of learning to understand your body, of practicing the foundations. When I dance, I feel strong, I feel in control. My brain shuts off. I spend energy, but I also make more of it. We as humans crave progress, and by taking the time to dig deeper, to learn how to practice and how to train, you can get so much more out of your body, out of the experience of dance classes, out of the experience of going to clubs and partying, out of your dancing in the kitchen alone at home. You get the full benefits of dance with a bit of work, but it's worth it. What I just explained here is for everyone. It doesn't matter which level you are, which level you want to be. It doesn't matter at all. Dance is for everyone. Let me make that very clear. It's for everyone. I don't think you have to choose between improving and having fun. I think you can have both. I think the main issue, the main frustration is being confused. You can have fun while learning, while pushing your limits. When you know all of these things, when you understand yourself, you can also choose when to be the hard worker and when to just not care. So let's finish the video with a little recap of what a dance circle looks like. You learn something, you imitate somebody, you repeat a couple times, and once you got it, you practice, and then you get feedback, and then you improve based on that feedback, and then you practice more with this new information regularly. Then you add more layers on top of it. You combine isolations, you add movement quality, you speed it up, you change directions, you train more, you learn more, you start the circle again. And the most important thing, you dance. You do choreographies, you freestyle, you create your own thing, you dance. So you learn, you practice, you train, you dance. And then repeat. It's simple. I hope you found this useful, and if you did, let me know in the comments. I will have this PDF that I'm using as reference linked somewhere so you can have it. And yeah, that's it. See you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed that video and found something useful. If you need more guidance, more support, more accountability, and want more access to me to ask me questions and help you in your dance journey, I want to invite you to my online community. The goal is to help you have structure, support, accountability, get feedback, have community, plus, of course, trainings, so that you can become a well-rounded dance practitioner, regardless of whether you learn from me or you learn from somebody else. You can join in the link below. I'm gonna leave it somewhere in the description. And any questions, feel free to ask in the comments or send me a message.